فوزا عظيما أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear brothers and sisters, rahimakumullahu ta'ala, Alhamdulillah, with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His help and assistance, we are able to be here together again, Alhamdulillah, tonight, and to continue our study on the book of the world of the jinn and shayateen, or the devils. And please correct me if I'm wrong, we should start from the sub-chapter or subtopic of the marriage between the jinn and humans. Have we entered into this topic before?
We entered already.
We already entered it. Okay. And we have finished the discussion about that? What was our conclusion about this theme or about this thing?
Actually, the finishing was with the question, either is it really valid or not, with marriage between jinn and insan.
Okay. Just to recap whatever we have concluded in the last class, the marriage between the jinn and humans, let me put it in this way. If you look or if you search in the Quran or the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will never find any dalil or any nas, any ayah, any hadith saying no to the marriage between jinn and humans. There's no dalil. There's no written text whatsoever from the Quran and from the Sunnah saying no, you cannot marry the jinn, or vice versa. However, as being stipulated by Al-Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that he never found any evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with regards to this issue. However, he disliked it, and that's being the case for most of the imams, most of the ulama. They are saying that they were disliking this kind of marriage, even though there is no clear evidence or there's no clear hukam or ruling about it. When we say there's no ruling from the Quran and Sunnah with regard to this issue, it doesn't mean it is 100% allowable or permissible. The things, a lot of worldly matters, a lot of worldly things that is never questioned or never existed in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but exist in our times. For example, smoking, vaping. Is it the right term, vaping or vaporizing? The thing is vaporizing, but the person who making the vape is what? Okay, and then a lot of things, worldly things, worldly matters that is not mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah, and then that needs to be examined by the scholars, and they have to do what we call the istinbat. Istinbat means to extract a ruling, a new ruling on the new things that is not contained in the Quran or the Sunnah. Yeah, that is why majority of the ulama, or we can say now the consensus of ulama al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, saying that smoking is prohibited. Smoking is haram. But 100 years ago, a lot of ulama, a lot of scholars saying it is makruh, based on the evidence existed in that time. Yeah, and as the technology advancing and people's getting more advanced and more sophisticated in their medical examination, we have this X-ray machine, or we have this CT scan, MRI scan. So people or the doctors, they can see the very negative impact of smoking on human beings. And in Islam, anything that harm you is haram, should be avoided. Yeah, it is haram to throw oneself into bad things or into death. Yeah. So the marriage between the jinn and humans, as being mentioned by Imam Malik, he said that as we can read here, Imam Malik could not find any text that would prohibit it, but he himself did not like for it to occur, and he gave his reason for saying so. So when we say the ulama ruled out that it is makruh, and a lot of people misunderstood the term makruh. Makruh here is not mean, it doesn't mean permissible. Makruh means disliked. And dislike, it is always near to haram. It was near to haram. Okay? And in the mazhab of Imam Abu Hanifah, there are two types of makruh. Makruh tanzih and makruh tahrim. Yes. Tanzih and makruh tahrim. And this is why you must be very careful. When the ulama said makruh, and a lot of them, especially the Malays, they say makruh. Makruh means I can do it. You know, it's not sinful. But no, makruh things, it can reduce our rewards. If not sinful, it can reduce the rewards. That is very dangerous, actually. Yeah. So be careful. So he said, I had that it would be the case that we would find a woman who is pregnant without a husband, without an apparent husband, and when we ask her, who is your husband, or who is the father of this child, and the woman will reply, what? One of the jinn. You know, I'm married to a jinn. So what proof we can bring up? So there's no proof for that. And then it will open up more, a lot of sinful things, sinful matters to occur. It will promote zina. It will promote fornication. It will promote, illegal marriage and whatsoever. Because people will give the reason, or people will give the excuse. Well, I have a husband. My husband cannot be seen because he is a jinn. I'm married to a jinn. So this is disliked by the scholars of Islam. A group of people of the opinion, and some scholars of the opinion, that it is not permitted, it is haram. Based on the verse number 30 from Surah Ar-Rum, chapter number 31, chapter number 30, verse 21, sorry. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. Yeah? And of his signs is this: He created for you mates from yourselves, means from our species, from the human kinds, from the human beings. That is why human married to human. Yeah? Cat mating with cat, dog mating with dog. Min anfusikum. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ. From yourself, means from our own kind. Yeah? And then Adam alayhi salam, the first man created by Allah Ta'ala, and then Allah Ta'ala created for him his spouse from himself, from his kind. Not from the jinn, not from the angel, not from the whatsoever. And I mean what other creatures. So Allah says that لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً, so that you might find rest in them and be ordained between your love and mercy. Okay, so it is clear. But, however, the question whether or not jinn can marry, or does jinn marry or not, yes, they can marry, they can have sexual intercourse. Based on this verse from Surah Al-Rahman, verse number 56. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim. Lam yatamithunna insun qablahum wala jan. Whom neither man nor jinn have touched before them. Allah Ta'ala indicates in this ayah that the angels, the Hurun Ain, never been touched neither by human nor jinn. It is implied, mafhum mukhalafa, in the discipline of fiqh, there's what we call as mafhum mukhalafa. Surah Tafsir means the implied meaning of this verse is that the angels in the paradise were created for both man and the jinn. So if man and jinn can be together with the angels, with the Hurun Ain, then that is why some of the scholars of the opinion that man and jinn can be together. Because they can be together with one, the one and the same creature, which is the Hurun Ain, then it should be no problem for human and the jinn to be together. You get what I mean?
But what we are talking here is
Heaven, not in the earth.
not here.
In heaven, yes, in heaven. However, what the scholars that of the opinion that it is permissible based on this ayah as well. So the same ayah, lam yatmithunna insun qablahum wala jan, but it divides, or it not dividing, but it's been discussed, it's been debated by two different kind of opinion, khilaf baina ulama. Okay, do the devils die? Do they die? There is no doubt that the jinn and the devils among them do die. The evidence is Surah Al-Rahman, the same surah. Kullu man 'alayha fan wa yabqa wajhu rabbika dzul jalali wal ikram. Of course, the devils, the jinn will die, because there's only Allah Ta'ala will live forever. Okay, everyone that is therein will pass away. There remains but the countenance of your Lord of might and glory. Which is it of the favors of your Lord that you deny? In Sahih Al-Bukhari, from Ibn Abbas, it is there's a hadith, or there's a dua, the prayer taught by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A'udzu bi'izzatika allazi la ilaha illa anta allazi la yamutu wal jinnu wal insu yamutun. Means, I seek refuge by your glory, the one whom there is no other God but you, the one who does not die, and the jinn and mankind do die. Okay, so a lot of evidences from the Quran and the Sunnah mentioning that the jinn will die. About their age, a lot of people are getting fascinated about the age of the jinn. They are quite excited about it. I heard some ustaz, they are saying that they have a dialogue with the jinn, and that jinn lived for 3,000 years. 3,000 years from the age of Fir'aun. These are people talking about. A lot of people are telling this story, but actually there's no point, or there's no how to say this. There's no benefit in it. There's no benefit of knowing the age of the jinn. And yes, for example, the devil, the Iblis, Lanatullah, as being recorded by Allah SWT in Surah As-Saf, قَالَ أَنذِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ قَالَ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. Means, the Iblis said to Allah SWT, reprieve me till the day when they are rest. Give me some time, give me, or prolong my age until the day of resurrection. Okay? And Allah Ta'ala answered, lo, you are of those reprieved. Means, you are those who are prolonged. Among those who are prolonged. And not only Iblis, but also there are some human beings in the history, in the record of the Quran and Sunnah, that they are still, they have a long age. For example, Nabi Nuh alayhi salam, living for 1,000 years. And Nabi Isa alayhi salam, being postponed. His death was being postponed until the day of resurrection. Okay, as mentioned by Sheikh Umar al-Ashqar here, concerning other jinn or devils other than Iblis, la'natullah, we do not know their lifespan. Yeah, we do not know. The age of the jinn other than Iblis, we never know. Do they live until the day of resurrection as well or not? Allahu a'lam. And Sheikh Umar, he said, but we do know that their lifespans are longer than that of the humans. Their lifespans are longer. Okay, further evidence that they do die, the jinn can die, is the report, or the hadith that Khalid bin al-Walid killed the devil of Al-Uzza. Means the devil or the jinn that resided at the statue of Al-Uzza. Yeah. The idol of the Al-Uzza. You know the three main idols worshipped by the Arabs during the Jahiliyyah, during the ignorant time. Yeah.
Lat, Manat,
Manat Uzza, Al-Uzza. And there was a devil who stayed there, who resided near the statue, and that is the devil that attracted people to worship the idol, a tree that the Arabs used to worship. And a companion killed a jinn that took shape of a serpent, as shall be discussed later. So there are a lot of reports or accounts from the Sahaba that they killed the resemblance of the jinn. Let me repeat, they killed the resemblance of the jinn. Because the jinn, when they resemble something, or when they disguise into another creature, either humans or animals, they can be killed. Because they become physical. They become apparent to us. You know, they can be touched, they are tangible. So, as we can destroy tangible things like this one, that if the jinn, came into being, like this cup, this plastic cup or this bottle, that we can touch, we can burn, we can do whatever we want on them. Okay? The next subtopic is the residence of the jinn and their places and the times that they can be found. I receive a lot of questions or a lot of concerns from people concerning their residences. For example, Ustaz, I do believe that in my house there's a jinn. Why you said so and so? Or because so and so. You know, I believe, or there's one Ustaz telling me that there's a jinn living in my backyard. Hanging on the coconut tree, or hanging on the banana tree. A lot of this kind of story, being told by people. So, where do the jinn reside? The jinn live upon the same earth as humans do. Most of them can be found among the ruins and dilapidated areas, as well as the places where there are many impure things, such as bathrooms, hashish dens. You know hashish dens? Hashish? You know hashish? You do know hashish? Hashish, marijuana. In Arabic, it's called hashish. That's the origin of the word assassin, hashashin. Of the word Arabic, hashashin, because in the later times, in the 1,000 years ago, the hashashins, the guys or the people who used to smoke hashish. Hashish is marijuana. Usually they are the assassins. People will meet them and will pay them for their service to kill somebody. From there the word assassin originated. Hashish dens, the places of the camels. Okay, and cemeteries, graveyards. For that reason, doesn't matter, Muslim graveyards or Christian graveyards, as long as there's a cemeteries or graveyards. Because why? Because graveyards, people don't live there. People don't make home at graveyard. So wherever places where there is no human being, then there will be possibility for that place to be resided by jinn. For that reason, as Ibn Taymiyyah said, those people who are close to shaitan usually inhibit such areas. That is why, even in the Malay society, the pawang, the shaman, the magician, usually will live isolatedly from other people in the village. His house will be quite far from other people's house. Yeah, a very deserted area, a very very lonely. Yeah, usually the pawang or the shaman of the Malay, they don't have so many family members. Sometimes they live alone. Yeah. There are hadith that say that one should not pray in bathrooms due to the impurities present and because it is the abode of Satan, or in cemeteries, as this leads to polytheism. Why we cannot pray in the cemeteries? Because this will lead to polytheism. Ignorant people will think that people who are praying in the cemeteries are praying to the dead, praying to the atau towards the grave. So this is why it is prohibited in Islam. But nowadays there are certain people who practice this. I mean, they how to say? They go to the graveyards and then they set up a tent, and then they will light up the tent, and then they will sleep there for 40 days. They call that as the menunggu kubur, or the waiting for the grave. Waiting for the grave. Why? Yeah, because they are praying there. They are reciting the Quran, because they won't leave the grave until 40 days pass. Upon the death of somebody, upon the somebody is dying and then being buried in the grave, yeah, they're being paid to stay there to read the Quran, to recite Quran for 40 days. So of course, when we say that they cannot leave the grave, means how do they pray? Of course, they will pray at the grave. You got what I mean? So that is why it is prohibited in Islam, because Nabi SAW never allowed us to do that. The only salat, the only type of prayer that we are allowed to perform on the grave or beside the grave is Salatul Janazah. Salatul Janazah. Because Salatul Janazah is not like the normal salah. It is just a prayer. It is just a dua. It doesn't, contain any ruku' or sujud. We just standing and then we just sang the takbir 4 times or 6 times or whatever, and then we recite Al-Fatiha, the dua and the salawat upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's different. It's not the kind of salat that we are allowed to do. Yeah, brother. Alaikum salam. Sorry?
My late brother.
Okay, yeah.
We go and pray for him.
Okay.
His grave.
Okay.
Like we pray just normally. And then the normal prayer. Not just make dua and
The making dua is okay. Make it. No. Making dua, but make sure that you are directing your face, or you're directing your dua towards the qibla, not towards the grave. Yeah. It's not prohibited. The one that is prohibited is the one that is directed towards the grave or calling the people in the grave. Okay, that's the prohibited. And praying in the graveyard is worried. It is the Nabi SAW worried that his ummah will become polytheist. That is why he prohibit, because praying in the graveyard will lead the ignorant people, the ignorant generations. We said, oh, our father and mother pray at the graveyard. Let's do that. Then the Iblis will come, and Iblis will, will influence them to not only pray to Allah Ta'ala, but also to pray towards the grave.
Yeah, but sadly, in our subcontinent, Indian subcontinent.
Yeah, Indian subcontinent. Yeah, I know. Your country is a lot of problems.
Types of shirk.
Yes.
They used to pray to the mayit in the grave.
Yeah.
Astaghfirullah. May
Yeah.
Allah guide them.
La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And not only in the original, or in the continent of Indian continent, but the tradition also being carried here to Malaysia by the Indians.
Malacca.
Not only Malacca, we do have everywhere. Yeah, you can see a lot of them in Penang, in the island of Penang, they have the dargah. You know dargah?
Yeah,
Yeah, dargah.
I see. On top
Yeah.
of Malacca.
Yeah, Malacca. Dargah is a tomb. It's a tomb. Keramat. Keramat. It's a tomb. The Malay call it keramat, but the Indian call it dargah. It doesn't. It's not necessarily a grave yet, even though there's no body buried under in the ground. It's just a place or something that being how to say idolized. Yes, idolized by the people, and it being being made as a sanctuary for some people. That is the dargah. Dargah. So Nabi SAW also advised his Sahaba, لا تكونن إن استطعت أول من يدخل. Okay, this is a sunnah or the tradition of the Prophet SAW when we enter the suq or the marketplace. لا تكونن إن استطعت أول من يدخل السوق ولا آخر من يخرج منها فإنها معركة الشيطان وبها ينصب أو ينصب رايته. It means if you can, do not be the first one to enter the marketplace and do not be the last to leave it. For there are the places of shaitan and therein he raises his banner. Means marketplace, suq, pasar, is the place where shaitan not only resides but ma'rakah. Some hadith with the lafaz or with the pronunciation ma'rikah or ma'rakah. It can be the place where they reside, their houses, but also the way they lay their eggs, the place where they multiply. Yeah. Yes. It involves malls, shopping malls. One Utama, it involves One Utama, IOI Mall, Giant, Tesco, not necessarily the Pasar Rabu, Chinatown, Pasar Rabu, Pasar Kamis, semua. Okay. Pasar Malam, Petaling Street, yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. This is balaghah in the Arabic language. Balaghah means the way we express things. Do not be the first and do not be the last. Means do not make yourself in the marketplace for. That's what it really means, because one cannot avoid. For example, if one is a businessman or a trader, and he happened to be the first one to enter the market, so how can we avoid that? But what does Nabi SAW mean here is that do not, be too long in the marketplace. If you can shorten your time, then make it short.
So if you're going there, do one particular thing, just go and settle off.
Yes, and this hadith is very suitable to give for your wife or for your woman. Do not spend too long. Do not spend your time too long in the supermarket. Because the marketplace is a very dirty place. That's where all the ma'asi, all the sinful things is happening. That's where people are cheating, people are lying about the transactions. Wailul mutaffifin, the one who cheat, the one who they put in the yesteryears, in the 1,000 years ago, people are using scale. Using a scale. And then what they do is they put a stone. They tie a stone underneath one of the scales. So it makes it heavier. So that's how they cheat. But nowadays they can manipulate the computer. Nowadays they're using the machine, the digitized machine. Then people can cheat. And then a lot of ma'asi, a lot of sinful things being happening in the marketplace. Zina, and then illegal kind of dealings whatsoever. So that's why the marketplace is favorited by shayateen, by the shaitan. Okay? And the devils live in the same houses in which people live. So that is why I said to a lot of people, do not be surprised. there's nothing to be, to be scared of, because in every house, yeah, in each and every house, there is a jinn. So there's no such thing as haunted house, or haunted house, because every house is haunted, including my house. Yeah, every house is haunted, because the devils live in the same houses in which people live. One can stop them from entering or repel them from such houses by mentioning Allah by entering those houses. So that is why Nabi SAW teach us to say Basmalah, or to mention Allah's name before entering our house. Why? Because there's a shaitan. There's a shaitan that is living in the house or waiting to go into the house. And if we forget Allah Azza wa Jal and we just enter our house just like that, then the shaitan will enter the house together with us and live together with us, eat together with us. So that is the cause of a lot of problems in our life. Actually, it's a very simple thing. It's a very simple deed that people forgetful, that people forget to do it, which is saying Bismillah before entering the house. And there's another lafaz or another text of dua taught by the Prophet ﷺ, a longer version, that is good for you to read it. Yeah, Allahumma Bismillah, Allahumma inni as'aluka khairal mawlid wa khairal makhraj, Bismillahi walajna wa Bismillahi kharajna wa ala Allahi rabbina tawakkalna. And then give salam to ourselves. Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi as-salihin. And then we enter our house. So that's a sunnah, a very simple deed actually, but very significant effect, which is the house will be guarded by Allah Azza wa Jalla from the disturbance of shaitan.
Is this dua available in Hisnul Muslim?
It should be. Yeah, it should be available in Hisnul Muslim. Yeah.
House, clean house.
And Nabi SAW also mentioned about whoever read Surah Al-Baqarah, the shaitan will not enter the house for 3 days, for example. Or the shaitan will run away from the house. This is an indicator that in every house there's a shaitan. But when somebody reads the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, for example, the shaitan will be repelled from the house. Yes.
Taking Surah Al-Baqarah inside the house.
Bismillah.
If let's say you're taking your time to read, say you're taking about 10 days, 15 days to finish Al-Baqarah, reading it bit by bit, or you have to finish it at one go. How do we
Okay.
apply on
Alright, Surah Al-Baqarah. Why Nabi SAW mentioned Surah Al-Baqarah, not the other surah? Why? Because in Surah Al-Baqarah there are a lot of verses that come together with them, a lot of fadilat. A lot of fadilat is miracles. I can say miracles. Fadilat is not only reward but miracles. For example, one who recite Ayatul Kursi, what happened to him? Allah Ta'ala will send down 2 angels to guard him. It's a miracle, And then whoever recite the last 2 verses, the angel will be guarding him. So that is why Surah Al-Baqarah is mentioned by Prophet ﷺ, because it contains not only the longest surah in the Quran, and to finish one surah it needs at least 2 hours. 2 hours with mediocre recitation. Yeah, 2 hours. So it means a lengthy recitation of Quran. And another interpretation of this hadith is that Nabi SAW actually instructing us to read a lot of Quran in our house. And being Surah Al-Baqarah being the longest surah, so it's easy for us to practice this, because if Nabi SAW said, read Surah Al-Mulk, for example, well, within 3 minutes you finish already, right? But Surah Al-Baqarah, it needs 2 hours at least to finish. So the more Quran we read in our house, so the shaitan will become more and more what? Sick. Become sick. I don't like this. Yeah, I just run away, right? And there's no evidence, like I said, there's no evidence that the verse from the Quran can make or can cause the shaitan to be caught into fire, like being believed by a lot of people, especially in Malaysia. Some Raqi, they believe that if we recite Ayatul Kursi or Ayatul Mu'awizat, on the marqi or on the patient that being possessed by demons, the demons will be burned by the verses. So there's no evidence actually saying that the surah or any ayah from the Quran can cause shaitan to be burned. There's no evidence at all. But what happened is that just like the kuffar, that is like Quranic recitation. وَإِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِ آيَاتُنَا وَلَّا مُسْتَكْبِرًا. Whenever our ayah, our verses being recited to them or upon them, وَلَّا مُسْتَكْبِرًا, they turn back and they go away with arrogance. That is what the kuffar do. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear that. Because we know, in our first class, we studied what? Surah Al-Jinn. The jinn, they listen to the recitation of the Quran and then they embrace Islam. So, we must remember these principles and we must understand why Surah Al-Baqarah. One is because of the fadilat. A lot of fadilat in that surah, that can make Allah Ta'ala or that can cause Allah Ta'ala to help us to repel the shaitan. Okay? And then also it is the longest surah in the Quran and the most beneficial one. Okay? And the verse of the throne means Ayatul Kursi. Verse 255 of the surah. And the Prophet ﷺ stated that the devils spread out and roam about increasingly when the dark first comes. And therefore he has advised Muslims to bring in their children during that period of time. This is stated in the hadith that was recorded by both Al-Bukhari and Muslim. And there's a hadith, authentic hadith in the Bukhari and Muslim, when Nabi SAW said he instructed Muslims to hold our children not to go out from the house during the Maghrib time, during the sunset. Why? Because that is the time where the devils are roaming around. And the devils run away from the call to prayer and cannot stand listening to it. And in the month of Ramadan, they are chained. So now we have, Ramadan has passed. So all the devils now are free. They are free. Well, let me explain. A little bit about the hadith. إذا جاء رمضان فتحت أبواب الجنة وغلقت أبواب النار وصفدت الشياطين. Means when the month of Ramadan comes, the doors of the Jannah open up and the doors of the hell closed, and the shayateen being chained. Well, the explanation of the chain, sufidat shayateen or sulsilat shayateen, it can be interpreted. It has been interpreted by the scholars in many ways. One of the explanation is that it means the shaitan feel difficult to lure or to seduce human beings because human beings, especially the Muslims, are so busy with fasting, salah, zikrullah, so busy reciting the Quran, and then they have no space, they have no opportunity at all to disturb them. And this is an explanation given by Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Another interpretation is that only the strong jinn, the chieftains, and the chieftains, the generals are being chained up during the month of Ramadan. So all the coolies or the subordinates, yes, or the privates or the lance corporals are being released. They're still free. So it's no surprise that the case of jinn or demonic possession can also be happen in the month of Ramadan. There's no surprise. Yeah. Okay. Alright, the places where the devils sit or gather. The devils love to sit between the shade and the sunlight. So this is a makruh deed or makruh act, yeah, to do. You know, between shade and sunlight, in between, there's a shaitan. Shaitan loves to sit in between. So this is also, for this reason, the Prophet ﷺ forbade the Muslims to sit in such places. This hadith was recorded in the books of Sunan and other works, and it is sahih. Okay. And just like humans, the jinn also, they have their own animals. They have their own animals. Yeah. The animals of the jinn. In the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud, recorded in Sahih Muslim, the jinn asked the Prophet about their provisions, and Nabi SAW said what? Every bone on which the name of Allah is recited, means every bone is being recited with basmalah, is your provision. Means, when we eat KFC chicken, we started with basmalah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and then we eat until finish, and the bone we throw away. And then the jinn will catch it, and it will be full with meat. Okay? And that is your provision. The time it will be in your hand, it will be covered with flesh, and the dung of camels, and the dung of human camels. Mean, the camels in this world, in the human world, their dung is fodder for your animals. Yeah? Fodder means food for their animals. So jinn also have animals, just like us. We keep pets, or we keep, in the village where people have, ayam kampung or chicken. They grow up, they keep the, cows. In Malaysia, yeah. In Arab they have camels, but in Malaysia, usually people carry what? Cows or buffaloes, yeah. Specific animals that the devils accompany. The devils accompany some animals, such as camels. The Prophet ﷺ said, Innal ibil khuliqat min shayatin, wa inna wara'a ba'irin shaytanan. It means, verily the camel has been created from devils, and behind every camel is a devil. Okay? For this reason, the Prophet ﷺ has prohibited us from praying in the pasture of the camels, because in the pasture of the camels, there are a lot of devils. Because camel created from the jinn. And with every camel, there is a devil. There is a jinn, accompanied with a jinn. And this hadith is authentic. Yeah. It is recorded in Musnad Ahmad and Sunan Abu Daud. And the Prophet ﷺ also said, La tusallu fi mubarak al-ibil fa innaha min asyayatin. Wa sallu fi marabid al-ghanam fa innaha barakah. Means, do not pray in the pastures of the camels, for they are from the devils. But pray in the fields of the sheep, for they are blessed. Ibn Majah recorded in his Sunan with a sahih chain. Meaning, there's a prohibition for us not to pray in the camel's pasture. Or in camel means the pasture, it's like the place where the camels live. Yeah? Kandang unta. Jangan solat di dalam kandang unta. Memang ada tegahan ataupun larangan. La tusallu fi a'tanil ibil fa innaha khuliqat min asyayatin. The same meaning. Do not pray in the resting places of the camels that they go to after being watered, for they have been created from the devils. And there are a lot of hadiths of the same meaning where Prophet ﷺ mentioned the camels are created from the devils. Do not ask me how. It is recorded in the Sahih Hadith, and we must believe it, and it's part of our iman. Allahu a'lam bisawab. Okay, Any question?
Right, you were saying that before or for entering your home, you must recite basmalah and zikr or whatever dua that Rasulullah has taught us.
Okay.
Okay, but what if in that household there are people who does that and people who don't?
People who practice and people who don't practice.
That's right.
Then that's the problem. Because in every household, everyone in that household must practice sunnah. And it is quite problematic if there's one or two people in that house do not practice the sunnah. So it's very, 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 very important to teach our kids, our spouse, to practice the sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's very simple. If they cannot memorize the lengthy dua, it is enough for them to say Bismillah. What's so difficult about that? I mean, just Bismillah, enter the house. Allahu alam. Okay, the ugliness of shaitan. We are still in the first part of this book actually, because it just telling us the characteristics of the shaitan, the sifat of the shaitan. The ugliness of shaitan, the shaitan is very, very ugly. Because Allah says, إِنَّهَا شَجَرَةٌ تَخْرُجُ فِي أَصْلِ الْجَحِيمِ طَلْعُهَا كَأَنَّهُ رُؤُوسُ الشَّيَاطِينِ. It means it is a bed. Is it better as a welcome, or the tree of Zakum? Lo, we have appointed it a torment for wrongdoers. Lo, it is a tree that springs in the heart of hell. Its crop is as it were the heads of the devils. Means the leaves or the branches of the tree of Zakum, it looks like the heads of the jinn or the devils. So it's very ugly. That is why people who say, or people who claim that they can see jinn in their original form in this world is such a liar. Such a liar. Because nobody can stand that. I mean, can witness the ugliness of shaitan. Because it's very, very ugly. Yeah. Christians, said Dr. Umar Ashkar, Christians in the Middle Ages, as we know, used to picture or used to draw shaitan as a black man with a pointed beard, raised eyebrows, a mouth that emits flames, and horns, and hoofs, and a tail. But this is just a imagination of an artist. Yeah, we cannot really know. I mean, how does it look like? Because usually shaitan will be painted, or it will be drawn as if he has horns like what? Goat. Yeah. But mouse deer has got horns. I mean, what are the animals that got horns? Buffaloes, cows. What else? Deer. What else? Kangaroo. Huh? So there's a lot of other animals that have horns. So why must the horns of the goat? Giraffe. Yeah, giraffe also has horns. So animals, human beings' imagination. Yeah. But it is sahih, it is authentic that shaitan has two horns. Shaitan has two horns. For example, this hadith, لا تحروا بصلاتكم طلوع الشمس ولا غروبها فإنها تطلع بقرني شيطان. Means do not seek to pray when the sun is rising. During the shuruk, after shuruk, between the shuruk and when the sun rise, or when it is setting. Means after asar, when the sun began to become yellowish or reddish. Verily it rises and sets between the two horns of a devil. Why this hadith is being mentioned like this? I mean, we must understand, during the Jahiliyah time, during the ignorance time, the kuffar, they used to pray towards the sun. They used to worship the sun. So they worship the sun when it rises and when it sets. So when it rises, the shaitan will go towards their direction, in between them and the sun. So it looks like as if the worshippers of the sun is worshipping the devil. And when it sets, they go to the direction of the suns, between the suns and the worshippers. So it will look like as if the worshippers are actually worshipping the shaitan. So that's how shaitan play around with the polytheists. And the same thing happened with the other idols. When our friends, Acong, Ameng, apa semua tu, Raja, apa semua, Ramakumar, apa semua tu, when they pray towards their idols, the shaitan will be there. That's why there was a devil with the Al-Uzza. Just now we mentioned, Khalid bin Al-Walid killed the devil. Yeah? And with every idol, there is a devil. That's why it is very problematic when people live, next door with the people of other religion that worship idols, especially the Hindus, the Buddhists. Always problematic. Always problematic. Yeah? Because the jinn, the devils will be around. Allahu a'lam bissawab. Okay. I think we can open up for other questions, if you have questions.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, when we are talking about jinns,
Mm.
we always use the term jinns as synonymous as devils.
Mm-hmm.
But we know some jinns are Muslims also.
Yeah. Yes, because like I said in the previous classes, devils or shaitan is a term or is a sifat. It's an attribute actually. It's not the name of a species. The species is jinn. Okay? When we say jinn, when we talk about the negative thing about the jinn, then we are actually mentioning the shaitan. When we are talking about the positive side of the jinn, or the positive things that the jinn is doing, then we are rarely talking about Muslim jinns over here. Because why? The Muslim jinns, they do not bother us. They don't bother with us. But we do have problems with the jinn that interfere our affairs. That is the shaitan. Yeah? Maybe you have missed my previous classes before. I've explained that jinn is a species like us humans. We are species, Homo sapiens. Yeah? Like us, Muslim, we do have Christians, Jews, Buddhists, Hindus, and others. The same thing with the jinn. The jinn is their species. They are created from the fire. We created from tin, from the soil, yeah, from the dirt. But they are created from the fire. So they are another type of species, another type of alam, another type of the world. So they do have Muslims and non-Muslims. So non-Muslims, usually kuffar, that are with the devil, work with the devil. They become part of the Iblis army. Yeah. Those who have become Muslims, they don't bother with humans. They worship Allah Ta'ala. They're just being busy with themselves, praying, performing ibadah, and wanting to get into the Jannah. All right? So whenever we talk about jinn, devils, jinn, shaitan, actually we are mentioning the jinn or the shaitan among the jinn. Yeah. Allahu a'lam bissawab.
Ustaz,
Yes.
what about Ratu Balkis?
Putri Balkis or the Princess Balkis. The name Balkis is not mentioned in the Quran or in any hadith. So it is, we believe it is originated from Israeliyat, means the record of the Bani Israel or from the people of the book. But in the Quran, it is being mentioned the name Saba. So the princess or the queen of Saba. Queen of Saba. Queen of Saba, he or she was human. She was a human. Yeah, purely human. She was not from among the jinn. Unlike what being believed by some people, you know, in Malay society, we do have some people who believe that Queen Sheba or Queen Saba was a jinn, and Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam got married with her, and they used that as an evidence that we can marry a jinn, a bunyan. But the truth is that she was a human. Yeah, she was human. Yes. Yes.
What is the difference between shaitan and iblis?
Iblis is the specific name for one particular shaitan or one particular jinn who betrayed or who who neglected the order of Allah SWT to prostrate before Adam alayhi salam. So Iblis is the name of a specific person. You know, like me, Sufri. So his name is Iblis. You get what I mean? But he is among the jinn. Kana minal jinn. Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Al-Kahf, Kana minal jinn. And he is among the jinn. From the species of the jinn. Okay?
Ustaz,
Yes.
in the case of jinn marrying human,
Yes.
whether the jinn is male or female, I believe if it really happens,
Yes.
this jinn should be not a Muslim jinn.
You believe that? Why?
Because they interfere with human being. The Muslim jinns, they won't bother us.
Maybe the jinn is also ignorant. Not all jinn who are Muslims are knowledgeable. You know, some of them are, because just like human, human Muslims, we do have Muslims who are knowledgeable among the scholars, among the ustad, or among the awam. We do have Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we do have Shia, we do have Qadiani, we do have whatever sects of the fractions of the religion. The same thing happens in the world of the jinn. Yeah, that is what we believe. And there's among the jinn who are Shia, Shi'i. Among of them are Qadiani. Among of them are so and so. So that's why I said it doesn't matter the religion. That's why in the Quran, in Surah Al-Jinn, Allah says, Allah recorded what they said, وَأَنَّ مِنَّا الصَّالِحُونَ وَمِنَّا دُونَ ذَلِكَ. Some of us are pious, salih, and some of us are not salih, not pious. So it is actually the piety, the piety of the jinn actually that really distinguish them, between either they are good jinn or shaitan. Okay? Allahu a'lam bisawab.
When you perform ruqyah, is that, do you ask the jinn, are you Muslim or?
I used to do that in the past. I used to do that in my early years of practicing that. Maybe most probably because of the influence of my teacher, he used to do that. But then later on, I just abandoned that practice because there's no use actually. There's no benefit at all to ask that kind of question. Either you are Muslim or non-Muslim, it doesn't matter. I want you to go out from this body. That's all. Yeah. But Allahu alam. Like Sheikh Wahid Abdul Salam Bali in his book, he did record his conversation with jinn, and some of them are Muslim jinn. Some of them are Muslim jinn, according to his story lah. Yeah, I don't know whether it's true or not, but he's telling that the Muslim jinn became angry with the person because of certain things, and then he possessed the person. Allahu alam. So that's why I said the religion of the jinn is just, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because one can be a Muslim, but at the same time he can be a rapist, right? There are a lot of rapists among Muslims, a lot of murderers among Muslims, a lot of thieves among the Muslims, robbers among the Muslims. I mean, you go to the jail and you see how many Muslims inside the jail, right? So religion-wise, per se, it's not enough. Yeah, it is the piety, it's the God-fearing that distinguish us from the others. That's why Nabi SAW said, "At-taqwa hahuna." At-taqwa hahuna. Taqwa towards Allah SWT is not in the name of the religion. I mean, it's not our names. Even though the name is Muhammad, the name is Abdullah, but that is not the indication of taqwa. Yeah, taqwa is inside the heart, be it humans or the jinn. Yeah, Allahu a'lam bissawab. Okay, so I think, is there any other question? No?
Can jinn see through clothes?
Can jinn see through clothes? Okay, jinn cannot see. Okay, jinn cannot see the aurat of Bani Adam or the aurat of human beings if we say Bismillah. Again, Bismillah. There's a dua that we must recite every time before we open up, or we take off our clothes. Bismillahillazi la ilaha illahu. In the name of Allah, that is no other God besides Him. Bismillahillazi la ilaha illahu. And so Nabi SAW said, whoever recite this dua, the eyes of the jinn will be covered, and they cannot see the aura, the body of the Muslims. That's why dua is very important. Dua is very, very, very important. And the simplest dua that Nabi SAW taught us is the Bismillah. This is the smallest or the easiest, the simplest deed, but a lot of us neglect it. For example, like make it a habit, brothers and sisters. Allahu Alam, this is what I do. I mean, every day, every time I open up the computer, Bismillah. Push up, I'm pressing the power button, Bismillah. Beginning this, writing up something, Bismillah. You see, even before sitting, Bismillah. Make it a habit. Make it a habit. So this is the actual, we call, defense system that we have. And Allah SWT has taught us how to defend ourselves from these enemies of us. Our enemies, our real enemies, shaitan. They're just waiting for us to be what? To be forgetful. They're waiting for us to be ignorant. Tak baca bismillah masuk rumah. Jom masuk ikut sekali. Lupa baca bismillah makan. Jom makan sekali. And then that is why whoever forget to recite bismillah before drinking or before eating, forget. Bismillahi awwalahu wa akhirah. And then the shaitan will vomit. The shaitan will vomit whatever he has drank or whatever he has ate with us. Yeah, Allahumma. Yes. Allahumma. Come again. Allahumma shfini. Allahumma kfini. I never heard of that dua before. Never.
This is for protection from dehydrating magic.
I never heard before, and I never heard the dua before.
I just know this was when you said it's very powerful dua. Try to understand.
Maybe.
Because apart from when you're going out, Bismillah,
Maybe, Allahu A'lam, because there are a lot of dua from the Sunnah, and that's really the deeds in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, there are too many, and we cannot say or we cannot guarantee that we can practice it all.
Because
You
this
know.
one, it's when I use it mostly also,
Yeah,
and it's very strong.
Also, it works on the hand.
yeah, yeah.
Nothing like you don't adapt that.
Yeah.
If
Yeah. And then the dua of when we go out from home, Bismillah tawakkaltu ala Allah wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And that is sufficient, because the shaitan will say, which with each other, and how we can disturb this guy, because he has been protected, he has been been provided by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Then we cannot disturb him. So it's very very simple dua, but very significant impact on our lives. Yeah, Allahu a'lam bisawab. So inshallah we shall continue in another 2 weeks time. Bismillah ta'ala. All truth is from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and the weaknesses and wrongs are from myself and from the shaitan. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وأستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.